Hello. Hello and good evening. Sounds weird. No. Hello and good evening. Welcome to the next episode of the Late Smoke with me, Ray, and this is episode number 52. Um, hey, I'm already people in. Very nice. So, how are you guys? How are you doing? How is the week been? It was the Halloween week, so I hope you have lots of treats, lots of tricks, maybe. Who knows? And yeah, welcome to the show. It's another Monday with the usual time at 8 p.m. Usual crowd I expect and the usual banter. Today, I'm gonna let you know what I'm smoking in a minute. I still haven't lit my cigar because it's only Robusto, so we'll lit it in a minute. Cup of tea, of course, and as usual, we'll talk about the news section, some cigars from the library behind me, and maybe a couple of interesting news around me. And yeah, and they will be quite a lot of rant today. I'll give you a hint. So I know some people are here only for the rant. Today will be significant portion of the conversation, of the talks, of the show will be ranting. So yeah, but let's crack on. Let me know, what are you smoking, what are you drinking as usual. If you have any questions, any suggestions, anything, just throw them in the chat. And in the meantime, I'm going to show you what I'm smoking. This is the cigar I picked for tonight. I have never smoked this cigar, so it will be a brand new experience for me. Some people might say this is a Rocky Patel Edge. Well, it's not Rocky Patel Edge. I know it's looked like Rocky Patel Edge. That's why it's interesting for me. You lost weight. I haven't. Not much. Let's call it that way. I'm trying to lose weight a little bit, but there's still not much seen, especially on my on my one pack. That's what I call it. It's not. I don't have six pack. I have one pack. So, but yeah. What is this one here? This is a cigar called. Well, it's a brand called Omar Ortiz, and this specific one is the Maduro in a Robusto size. As it says, the band so much look like a Rocky Patel Edge. I believe every one of you seen Rocky Patel Edge, and this is literally the same style band. If I can focus, there we go. With the difference, it says Omar Ortiz, and the logo is like triple O's. No other band, just a foot band, which is actually covering the foot, but it's a very interesting solution because you can actually open the one of the ends. You can, I don't know, inspect the cigar maybe, but yeah. And now I presume you cannot put this one back anyway. I'm not even planning to do it. Let me see if I can slide it because the band looks very cool. It doesn't seem very. It looks like a little bit glossy, shiny, but for some reason, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so the band is, that's the thing. So you literally go in there. I don't know how the guys in the factory put that one quicker. I mean, this is looks like pain in the ass to put it on, but yeah. Um, so Omar Ortiz, it's uh, Omar Ortiz is a Nicaraguan tobacco producer, tobacco grower. He's been growing tobacco for many years. He's one of the very well respected people in the industry. Um, he's not well known with his cigars. He makes cigars, of course. He have a factory, he have operation, but it's not been highly recognized for his cigars, predominantly for the tobacco he grow. Few years ago, his daughter, Indiana, actually tried to get into the industry. Quite impressive. I don't think she managed to succeed. I'm not sure what she's doing at the moment. But Indiana Ortiz was the lady who came up with the Nicaraguan blend of the Psycho 7 cigars, which were owned by Ventura and distributed by Davidoff in some moment. So, but the Omar Ortiz line, I've seen him in the US. I mean, not often, but I can see them in some of the shops. They've been there for ages. I don't know if they do anything other fancy except the Connecticut Habano and Maduro lines. Those are the only ones I've seen. I haven't seen something coming up with the fancy blunt or anything. Maybe they do some custom blends for other people. But for their own production, as far as I know, they are predominantly tobacco growers than tobacco producers. So I haven't smoked anything from them. The only cigars I smoke, which somehow are related to the family, that's Indiana's blend from Psycho. But this one, never smoke anything. A little bit about the blend. So this specific one is a typical Robusto 5x50, and it's a nicely filled. I weighed it before the show. It's 14 grams, which for me it's very close to the perfect Robusto, which is around 14 and a half, 15 grams. Few very well packed. The wrapper, really nice Nicaraguan Habano, very dark, very rustic, very sandpapery, lots of veins. Apparently, the blend have a Mexican binder, which will be very interesting. Usually, Mexico people use it for a wrapper predominantly, but as a binder, I guess maybe it wasn't that nicely looking. Maybe they buy slightly cheaper. Those cigars are more expensive. They bought slightly cheaper priming, a slightly cheaper grade of the tobacco, and that's why they use it for a binder. Let's hope there will be enough sweetness and peppery. And the fuels are predominantly Nicaraguan. And there's one very interesting thing. I found information that there's a small portion of the fillers which are from Panama. So I smoke few other cigars with tobacco from Panama. I will be completely honest, I've never liked it. For some reason, the Panama tobacco, it just doesn't vibe with me, doesn't work. So let's see how this will be. Hopefully the blend will be better than some of the other which use in Panama. But yeah, let me lit my cigar. And in the meantime, we can start talking about the news section. There's lots of newses, lots of releases. As I mentioned last week, towards the end of the year, lots of companies trying to release. Now is the TAA show in the US, the Big Smoke. Lots of people coming up with the new limited editions, the new fancy cigars. So of course, the most reliable lighters, the cheapy plastic ones. This is after the last week conversation about the DuPonts. The draw is very good. Enough resistance. I like a little bit tighter cigars. This is literally perfect for me. So we'll give him a few more puffs. See how the cigar will taste, how the tobacco tastes. And in the meantime, I'm just looking one more time in the chat, and I will start with the news section. As usual, as a pairing, I have a nice cup of tea. So, the news section. We'll start with the releases. There's a few releases I want to talk about, and that will be the biggest part of the ranting session. That's where I will talk about prices where I'm not very happy with them. And the first release, I briefly mentioned about it last week, but I didn't have much information about. And now I already have everything. And this is Davidoff Year of the Horse. Last week I mentioned that Placencia usually wait for Davidoff to release them, then they release them, but this time Placencia released before Davidoff, and the Davidoff release announced the release of the Year of the Horse. As last year, they did something similar, so they released in three different cigars, same blend, but different sizes with a different packaging, which I don't understand why. But that's maybe one way to make more money, make more profit. As usual, the humidors and the cigars and the accessories look phenomenal. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Davidoff make pretty cool accessories. Um, so I'll give you a little bit more of information about the blend and the sizes and basically all the technicalities. So this year of the horse don't have any specific how to say any specific looking type cigar. I mean, it's years before last few years. They usually associate with whatever animal is in the Chinese zodiac. They try to somehow associate the cigar with it. This year it's year of the horse. Placencia managed to put that like a massive plot on the side of the cigar. Davido don't have anything like that. I was suspicious they might bring something like that, but no, they haven't. Three different sizes. Every size came with a different packaging and different price tag, and that's where my problem with the pricing came up. Um, the cheapest one, and the one, oh, I start yawning already. And the one we're gonna see most often on the shops, especially on most of the shops, will be the standard tier of the horse, which will be 6.5 by 55, very unusual size. Nowadays, I don't know what to call this one. Is here some cross between Churchill, Toro, Gordo, double Corona, 6.5, 55. Go figure out. $65 retail price. So for the people in UK, I would say probably 70, 80 pounds, something like that, maybe more. Who knows? Um, Lots of boxes, 17, 18,000 boxes, yada yada. The second size, it's the flagship exclusive torpedo, 6x52. So more standard size. The look on the cigar, I'm looking the picture, looks more like a pyramid. It's like a cone instead of like more of a standard torpedo. But who knows? So this will be sold only in all the flagship shops. There's a few hundred boxes only, and the price will be around $90. So same cigar, smaller size. That's the most interesting thing. So smaller size than the first one, and $20-$30 more expensive. Fancy box maybe, but sometimes I don't know. I don't want to pay only for the box. If I want to buy the box, maybe I'll buy the box. And the last size will be the masterpiece Humidor Toro. So the size will be 6x56 Toro Extra. That's what they call it. It will came only as a part of the humidor that contains 88 cigars, and the price of the humidor is $50,000. That means each of those cigars will be something like $500, $600. Um, Same blend, same cigars. This is even smaller than the first one. In my opinion, 6x56 is smaller than 6.5 by 55. Same idea, Toro. But if you want to smoke this cigar, you need to buy a humidor for 50,000. I mean, that's the one of the first questions on the night. Is that make the cigar $560? Because effectively you cannot buy the cigar unless you buy the humidor. and can we call it $560 cigar? And for people who are not that much into the cigars, don't follow maybe that much as what we're doing here. And when you show them both cigars and explain them, hey, the both cigars are the same taste, same flavor, same blend. They even look quite similar as a size, 6 versus 6.5, 56 versus 55. So one of them will be slightly longer, 55 and 56 ring gauge. Many people wouldn't find the difference. And we were talking last time about Davidoff issue with the ring gauges on one of their recent releases. So most likely the ring gauge will be pretty much the same, just a half of inch longer one of the cigars. And when you explain to someone who is not in the cigar, so maybe in the retail or something, hey, the shorter cigar, you want to buy it, you need to pay $50,000, or maybe split with 20, 30, 50, whatever friends. Buy once you want to buy one cigar, it will cost you $600. The smaller one will cost you 60. The big one will cost you 60. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I get it, but it doesn't sound right at all. I mean, just because the fancy humidor, the masterpiece humidor, at least maybe they can announce, hey, it's a different blend, maybe something different, not just change the size a little bit. Even the buns look the same. But Davidoff are one of the geniuses in the marketing game. Every time whatever they do, they touch, it's expensive. It costs a lot of money, and I guess that's why they're Davidoff. So yeah, that was my few cents of rant around the Davidoff. Um, it's just not logical. And there was a series. There will be series of news now around the releases, and this was only the cheapest one. So you follow where I'm going. Uh, I always comment releases if there's something, if I'm not agree with prices, or if something completely wrong, or if something very interesting. The first release was Davidoff. I'm glad the Epicureans agree with me that nothing makes sense in this release. You're releasing the same cigar, even similar size, quite identical size, and decide, oh, this one going the fancy humidor, that's why you're going to cost thousands. So this cigar started a little bit a bit more bitter than what I usually prefer. I'm not impressed by the strength. I mean, I expect this is Maduro. I expect this to be uh, especially heavily potent Nicaraguan Maduro to be like crazy. There's a San Andres, there's a Nicaragua. But there's a slight bitterness. Strength is, I don't know, 7 out of 10 maybe. Not much of a nicotine kick. I just touched the ash because I see the ash start cracking, and I don't want to fall all over me, make a mess. So I guess I didn't wait proper to develop a big ash. There we go. Next release, Merafel. Merafel announced Lancero, one of the fancy lines they release. Ernest, they announcing releasing of Lancero now, 7.5 by 40. Uses Cameron wrapper, of course. So this is most likely like Trinidad Fundadores. The price will be MSRP in the US on $73, which for Lancero, I don't know. Cuba and Trinidad, they charge similar money, more. I don't think any non-Cuban brand charge that kind of money for Lancero. Even Atabey Lancero, I believe, is cheaper than this. Fuente Lanceros, they should be cheaper. The problem is they don't produce a lot, and whoever's selling them, they sell them only for friends, and they charge a ridiculous amount of money. I've heard something like $100, $120 on the secondary market. But everyone who released officially Lancero never heard of 70 odd dollars for Lancero. But with Merafil, the situation is yeah, um, they literally price the cigars crazy. They try to push this uber luxury, which I'm sorry, but I don't think you work. Cigar is a cigar. Use 5-6 leaves of tobacco, even if it's like, I don't know, 50 years old tobacco, 60 years old tobacco. Somehow, I mean, maybe they try to repeat the whiskey territory. With the whiskey, you open a 50 years old barrel, there won't be much left there, and it will be expensive. But that's the reason why it's expensive. If I can add something here for people who doesn't know that much about the whiskey industry. So when you have a whiskey which is super expensive and some crazy ass age on him, like let's say 30, 40, 50, 60 years old on the bottle, it's not expensive because it's the best whiskey in the world. For some people it can be, for other people it's no. I mean, I've the oldest whiskeys I've drunk are from cask from the 70s, and I wasn't impressed. I would never prefer than some 8, 9, 12 years old. I don't even believe that much in age. For me, I'm a massive fan of the whiskeys, which is like 5, 6, 7 years old. Phenomenal taste, flavors, aromas. But yeah, why the whiskey is expensive? The whiskey is expensive because of something called angel share. So when you open a barrel, a barrel of whiskey, the barrel is never full to the capacity when it was filled, when it was produced. There's an evaporation. Barrel is made of wood, and there's a wood's breathing, and there's evaporation. Every year, there's a small percentage of the liquid inside evaporate. Depend where the barrel is. The percentage of the evaporation can vary between 2% to 20-25%, depending on where you are around the world. If you're talking about the Scotch world, Scotch whiskey, Scotland is usually pretty low temperature, big humidity, so the evaporation is very low, 1.22%. But the evaporation in Thailand, for example, Kavalan, or India, or some moments in some places in Japan, is over 20%. So when you calculate, if you lose 1%, so let's say you have a barrel of 500 liters. Every year you lose 1% of those 500 liters. So every year, the first year you're losing 5 liters. The next year you're losing 4.95, or etc. etc. And if you imagine, like, after 50 years, very often there's less than a half in the barrel. And that's why when you release it, especially as a barrel, cask strength, so it doesn't add any water, you can, from a barrel, single barrel cask strength, you won't have more than, I don't know, 100 bottles, 80 bottles. That's why they release it on that kind of prices. But with the cigars, with the tobacco, it doesn't work like that. I know it's hard to keep tobacco for a big period of time, 20, 30 years in the bales somewhere in the warehouses. But in my opinion, the tobacco lose from its quality when it's that old. I mean, I don't know raw tobacco. I haven't played and experienced lots of raw tobacco. I am not 100% sure how much the tobacco will lose from its qualities after 20 years or 30 years or something, but I'm sure it's losing. It's not like a fresh tobacco which is nicely fermented, a couple of years to settle down, and then use it on a blend. This will be, for me, will be the perfect tobacco to use. Not some, oh, this is 47 years old tobacco, and most likely there's nothing left in this tobacco. Um, yeah, Epicure mentioned it's Merafel is very low on the Cameron crop yields. Again, the scarcity. Trying to align the brand as a Uber luxury because you inherit problems with growing leaf genius marketing. Yeah, of course, it's in my opinion, everyone who producing that kind of tobacco, that kind of blends. Usually, oh, this is very old or something. It's a genius in marketing. You know, you can't be not good in marketing if you producing a cigar which costs, I don't know, $5, and somehow you manage to sell it for 50, 60, 70, 80, I don't know, 90, 100, or even more. We're gonna see it later today. There's a even much more expensive stuff than that. So again, great marketing. Not much I can say here. It's it is what it is. Anatoly asked, what's the typical weight of a Lancero? Depending on the Lancero. I mean, nicely heavily packed Lanceros, usually 14 gauge. Most of the people do 14 gauge Lanceros. 7.5. I would say something in the region of 10 grams. Of course, they can be less if it's 38 by 7. This is the other very popular size for Lancero, 7 by 38. You wouldn't be more than 8.5, 8.7, 9 grams. But let's say Liga Privada L40, it's a usually heavy tobacco, heavy wrapper. I think this would be over 11, 12 grams. But if you use Espinosa, for example, Espinosa very loose type draw Lanceros, very not heavily packed. I don't think we're more than 8, 9 grams. Epicurean. What is a C8? No, of course we're gonna talk about C8, but in few more minutes, in few minutes later, or whatever was the we'll go there. Anyway, that's Merafel. As I mentioned, we're gonna move in progression towards the price hike here. The next cigar I want to talk about, it's of course Cuba. And Cuba released a new limited edition Monte Cristo Elba. That's the first edition limitada for 2025, which is actually kind of on time. Usually Cuba release them way after the years, but Cuba managed to release the first 2025 in 2025. Monte Cristo Elba was released in Spain, in Madrid, a week ago, and I have a very fresh information from a couple of people which were on the event. A few technicalities on the Monte Cristo. Measures 5.75 by 54, kind of 6 by 54 total. In Cuba, that will be known as Encantus. It's a brand new size. They never produced anything like that before. It's the 90th anniversary of the Monte Cristo. I'm very happy with the 80th anniversary. 80th was very successful cigar in my opinion. Really interesting. Now they released the 90th. So Elba is named after the island. I think if you follow the history, Count of Monte Cristo was basically based on Elba. So everything Monte Cristo release, they do the names, they're all related to Count of Monte Cristo. So the Monte Cristo will be released in 20 count boxes. At the moment, is only in a premier pack. So Cuba are very great in the marketing as usual. They create those marketing packs. I think with the Cuba 2021, they release like 2, 3, 4, 5 cigars, QR codes, RFID, fancy packaging, which is usually very nice packaging. All their boxes are very, very nicely made, but you pay crazy hefty price about it. And now the funny thing here, the price on this cigar, very, very unusual, will be $140. That's Monte Cristo. Why Monte Cristo? Since when Monte Cristo costs $140? It's not a massive size something, I don't know, Gigantes or Monte A. Even Monte A doesn't cost that much money. maybe they jump on the bandwagon and says, we get away with Cohiba, we get away with Trinidad. Let's try some of the usually not that well known for their price brands. So Monte Cristo already have expensive line. That's Linea 1935, which was being announced to be their more premium and classy and whatever fancy Porsche Linea Vitolis. Now the limited edition from Monte Cristo, crazy. And I remember I think the last limited edition from Monte Cristo was the 2019, which is, by the way, is a very nice cigar. They released it on something like 40 pounds, maybe even less than that. And now, like 5 years later, take that 300% increase. It's a similar size though, but one thing I'm thinking, Cabanos have a couple of releases this year. We're gonna go to the second one in some point later now, today, and I'll keep these thoughts for the end of the conversation with the releases because you're gonna get my point. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking. Would you pay $140 for Monte Cristo? Everyone I spoke so far, everyone says there's no a chance I would buy this cigar. This is Monte Cristo. I'm not paying $140 for Monte Cristo, €120 for Monte Cristo. It's not Cohiba. We're already thinking, okay, Cohiba is expensive. You want to smoke Cohiba, you're going to pay extra money. But for Monte Cristo, nobody is agreed to pay anything like that for Monte Cristo. And all the people who smoke the cigars, they say the cigar is not ready yet. So I mean that means they're releasing a cigar which is probably not ready to smoke, and they charge crazy amount of money. Okay, I get it. The packaging is fancy, but we'll see when they release the standard 20 count boxes what will be the packaging there, what will be the price. I don't think will be much difference. Right. You see the progression. We're moving on the next price up there. The next one, and the Epicurean already mentioned it. It's something which back in the time I couldn't understand why. Actually, I think I know why. But let me tell you the news. General bringing back Cohiba C8. C8 was something Cohiba released 4 or 5 years ago. It have the price of I think back in the time was $500 for a cigar, 10 count, $5,000 for a full 10 count of humidor. So they all came in the metal tubes, fancy, perfection, etc. Yada yada. The original C8 was double Corona 7.5 54, massive cigar in a briefcase. Again, all kind of metals, whatever. Back in the time, I think why they did it. Back in the time, I think they want somehow, because General out of those companies, their biggest competitor, in my opinion, that's Davidoff. Maybe Fuente to some extent. And of course, Davidoff have Oro Blanco. Oro Blanco was classed as the most high-end New World cigar. Oro Blanco, I've never seen Oro Blanco to be sold for less than $500. I think that was the original MSRP. Many people still selling it for $500, the original release. And I think General came with the idea, we can also create a $500 cigar, even if it's dog shit. We will create something. I mean, it might be a dog shit again. I mean, I've never smoked it. I doubt I'm gonna ever smoke it. But $500 for a cigar, no. So now Davidoff released Oro Blanco version 2. Obviously way more expensive, 700 and something. And out of this, maybe whoever was in charge with this project back in the time say, hey, we need to release something. My biggest surprise here is the cigars actually will cost only $250. So this is the new C8 will be only $250, which is very strange because I expect this to be $700, $800. I mean, again, nobody will buy them. I doubt any logical thinking person in the world will spend £700 dollars for a cigar made in Dominican Republic. I mean, sorry, but even Fuente can't achieve that. But we're gonna talk about Fuente later as well. So let me think why the price is only $250. Maybe the Cuiba lawsuit have something to do with it. Maybe General a little bit scared of because they lost the Cuiba lawsuit, and in a matter of time, someone might tell them, "Hey, rename everything, shut down everything, put your funky name Silencio, forget about the Cuiba name." And what's going to happen with this project if they were charging, I don't know, $700, $800 per cigar? Because all those prices they mentioned. So this time the cigar is 7 by 50 Churchill. Wrapper is from 2018. Wow. Nicaraguan oven, Connecticut broadleaf from 2021, and whatever fillers from 21 and 22. So um, there will be 16 count boxes, and it's all about precision, etc. Yada yada yada. But again, for me, whoever put the prices on those type of cigars, it's just use a randomizer. Uh, Maybe some kind of weird game with the numbers. Maybe collect all the numbers from the years, divide by 5, multiply by 3, and let's see with some funky number, 249.99. Because I don't know, maybe if the tube was gold, made of gold, I'll say maybe that worth the money. Probably tube is just a metal, even if it's like, I don't know, it won't be carbon fiber because they wouldn't use it. That would cost them too much money. It's probably some random metal which is just polished and painted, and yeah, $250. I mean, I don't know. The world is crazy. I mean, everyone tried to copy the Cuban Cuiba, but unfortunately, I don't think anyone will ever be able to copy the Cuban Cuiba. I'm sorry. I mean, I more often talk about when is the discussion about the New World and versus the Cubans. I usually take the New World side more often, but for me, they both we shouldn't exclude one of the other. But the Cuban Cohiba will never be surpassed by anyone. I'm sorry if people expecting they want to measure themselves with the Cuban Cohiba. Don't. You can't. Um, you're gonna lose. Just try to create another good cigar without be Habanos can put the fancy price on the Cuiba. Why we can't? Because Habanos are like 150 years marketing before you guys. Um, Epicurean says they might obtain the blend of the leaf, but they still not have the chief. Well, even if let's pick up, I don't know, cigar with one of the best cigars in the world. I'm not mentioning specific names, but let's say Cigar Aficionado says this year this is cigar of the year, just a random cigar. Okay, the person who created this cigar, even if you leave him to go to Cuba and create you a Cuban cigar, the blender create a Cuban cigar. Do you think this cigar will be the best cigar in the world? No, because most of the time those expensive cigars they are not the best cigars in the world. It's just a marketing trick. I call them social experiments as well. Social experiments with the market. So sometimes someone release something ridiculous where people like myself and all the other bloggers talking about it and ranting about it and making say this is a nonsense, this is a nonsense. But actually, it's cheaper probably to release a $300 cigar, put it out there, collect opinions like a social experiment, see who's buying it, who's not buying it, what's the opinion of the shops, and instead of paying some marketing research company who can give you some data which is not even real because most of the time people who participate in this data have no clue of what they're doing. There's I read about it. There's actually profession now marketing. What was the name? Marketing researcher participant or something like that. So there's the people who get paid only to do marketing researches. They actually answering questions, not the people who provide and creating the research. No, those are the people who literally been paid to do all kind of questionnaires about all kind of different stuff. Even if most of them maybe they don't smoke, some they probably do questionnaire about smoking and that kind of stuff. So I think this is a great way to get the people's opinion on a product. And when you're releasing something like that, of course, majority of the people will be like, "Oh, this is too expensive. You're crazy. You're mad. Whatever." But there will be people which maybe they will more friendly. They will give them different type of opinion, and of course, every opinion, every data will bring them to whatever they want to achieve. Anyway, C8 is back. Don't know why. Pointless. Um, but yeah, this is great idea how you don't own the trademark of something, you doesn't own the name, you doesn't know anything, but you decide to release a crazy expensive cigar. Maybe this is the final dance of the Cuiva. Who knows? Of the American Cuiva. Moving on to the Cuban Cuiva. Out of nowhere, Cuba decided to release a new Vitola of their standard portfolio. It's called Vistosos. There was a brief information about Vistosos that might be released in some point somewhere in the time. They released it for sale in Andorra, duty free. That with the cheapest price ever you see this cigar. The Cuiva Vistosos, size wise, let me give you some technicalities: 5 and 7/10 of inch, weird Cuban stuff. By 53, the Vitola is known as Dinoras, or the most popular cigar from the Dinoras Vitola, that's Trinidad Esmeralda. And the cigar was made with pigtail. Let me give you some insight here. Cigar will be 270 euro for sale at the moment, so that's $315 per cigar. Crazy. 10 count boxes, travel humidors, blah blah blah, all unique bands. There's an additional second band, whatever. The price is crazy, but let me give you some theory of conspiration here. I'll call it that way. The theory. I like those conspiracy theories, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce that even. So, from a very, very close sources, I know Cuba start making Cuiva in a different factories than El Legito, and I'm talking about top tier Cuivas. I have smoked recently Beike 56, which was produced not in El Legito. So for the people who doesn't know, El Legito is the main factory where we produce the top tier Cohibas, some Trinidads and stuff like that. But nowadays, majority is Cohiba, and it's unseen to produce Beike anywhere else but in El Legito. But the person I spoke, he was in these other factories. I'm not going to mention much more details because it's no idea for the person who provided me this information. He gave me that Beike. It wasn't taste as much as the standard Beike. You know, I smoke quite a lot of Beike back in the time. Not nowadays. I cannot afford it nowadays. But this 56, I always says that for me the 56 was the best Beike. I've never been a big fan of the bigger engages, but in the Beike portfolio, 56 was perfectly fitting for me. This one wasn't tasted like Beike 56. I even was joking when that tastes lots like Dominican tobacco. It was more of a joke, but it doesn't taste like the Beike. And he told me I have it from this factory. I was with one of the people who literally own Habanos and Cuba Tobacco, not Habanos, Cuba Tobacco. And they're the people who actually own the cigars and everything. And we were running around the factory, gave me some cigars, and those were from the rolling tables. And there's literally pigtail, the size, everything is Beike 56. So my theory here, I haven't smoked this cigar. I mean, this crazy Cuiba, which 300 and something. I'll never smoke it unless someone like that give me some experiment. So Cuiba Vistosus, I reckon this is Trinidad. Um, as I mentioned before, it's exactly the same size as Esmeralda. I don't think Esmeralda sells anymore. Since the price increase, I think Esmeralda is something like 90 odd pounds, close to 100. They used to be 40, 50. Now they are 90 to 100 pounds. Dollars is, well, 120. I don't think they sell anymore. Maybe those Cohibas are either rebranded Trinidads, either they stop producing Esmeralda that much. They moved to production to Cohiba. It's same size, just stick another band. Most likely people wouldn't recognize the difference, or unless you need to be, I don't know. Not many people will know how this Cohiba should taste because it's a brand new size, and some people might say it should taste like the classical Cohiba, near classical, all the Esplendido and Robusto and that kind. Maybe, but probably no. And this is just my theory. It's nothing here confirmed, nothing I've heard. It's just based on what I've seen, what Habanos do recently, Cuba Tobacco. I think this is literally rebranded Trinidad. And because Trinidad can sell, Cohiba can sell on any price. So that's why bring on new Cohiba, double, triple the price, put it out there. Why this guy costs 300? No one can answer. Cuba, there's no logic in the Cuban pricing. For me, that's more likely randomizer here. Someone just throw a random price. Let's say, oh, we need cigar with 200 in the front. Bang in the randomizer, 270 euro. Sounds good. Let's see how many stupid people will buy this cigar. There we go. Last more piece on the releases and the run section. No, not the last piece on the run section, but last piece on the newses. There's one more release, and this is LA Blue announced the release of the Fuente Opus 6 Angel Share Stairway to Heaven Humidor. I was expecting, technicalities here is a collaboration with LA Blue and Fuente Angel Share, massive humidor from LA Blue. Came up with 60 brand new size Opus 6 Angel Share called Stairway to Heaven, 7.25 by 56 Figurado. Fuente has been well known producing cigars with unique shapes and sizes for a different collaboration. Stefano Ricci Double Corona was one of the examples. This is the other example. And the humidor have a price of $17,500. Crazy. So for $17,500, you buy this chinky humidor with 60 cigars, which if they would divide it out, will cost you probably, I haven't calculated, but maybe over $500 per cigar. No, not 500, less than that, but something ridiculous. And they will give you an option to purchase 120 more cigars over the next 2 years. So something like the Padron back in the time, the original humidor. So if you have this humidor, next year you can order another 60, and year after you can order another 60. No one says how much it can cost you to order those 60. It won't be cheap. It's not free. Of course, Fuente doesn't do anything for free. But crazy release. Another one. It's not something unseen from Fuente, but this is literally massive, massive chunk. I was expecting at least when you open the humidor to start singing you that Led Zeppelin famous song "Starway to Heaven," or at least like a musical box. You open it and imagine that the guitar riff starting from there. That would be cool, but unfortunately, no. You for 17,500, you get a square box. Okay, rectangular. I don't know, just a box with a nice lacquer and 60 cigars in there. That's it. So it seems like we're in this type of era or decade where people releasing those crazy type of stuff humidor, charging ridiculous amount of money, and just with another story, hey, this is that old tobacco. The wood of the humidor is digged on 6,000 meters above the sea level. There was 5 different cows which piss on that tree, and this cows was being I don't know, born under the star in 12th day of whatever month, and all kind of funky stories, which doesn't make any sense. Any sense. Anyway, last piece of news. I know I get long today, but I need to rant about all those stuff. Well, sometimes there's not much to rant, but tonight there was lots to rant. Last piece of news where I'm gonna rant a little bit, of course. This type of news is one of those which usually legislations, bans, regulations. So Maldives put the generational bans in effect from 1st of January. So what to say here? I've never been to Maldives. For some moment of time, maybe I wish to go to Maldives. It looks cool, pictures and everything. But now I don't want to go to Maldives. For me, this is one of those countries where I put a big cross. And anyway, Maldives probably will not exist in 20 years. I mean, I've read and watched documentaries how the sea level probably will eat the Maldives and the Seychelles and all those fancy islands out there in the next 20 to 30 years. So maybe in 20 years there will be not many people anywhere left to smoke there. So who cares? But this is another mega nonsense, super tourist country where there's not much of a pollution, I believe there. I mean, it's an island, there's not many cars, and air is supposed to be clean, and you have all those super rich people going there, and now you're gonna stop people to smoke. Absolute nonsense. That's what I can say here. So if you want to go on an island where you want to smoke, nice weather, nice food, nice beaches, people are a little bit weird, but I guess everywhere like that. Go to Sicily. Smoking paradise. You can smoke everywhere. It's a chaos. You just be careful when you walk in, someone might hit you. Don't drive unless it's necessary. Just go to Sicily. Smoking paradise. It's nice. Weather's perfect. Food is good. Not very expensive. And you can smoke everywhere. Last 2 cents on that. Right. Before we go to, I mean, I know it's already been an hour, but it was a big run today. I've got so many cigars prepared for you to show you today. You can see there's like 6 different boxes here. Of course, I'm not going to show you every single cigar from those boxes. I want to pick some of them. A couple of announcements here. Probably some of you seen already in the social media. I've been appointed as a European brand ambassador for Freud. It was a collaboration between me and them. We started working together a couple months ago. We decided to announce it now publicly. So I'm going to represent, they will be one of the brands I'm representing. I will do lots of events with them. I'll be involved with all the international affairs, sales, and everything. And lots of events already. I start getting involved. I will get more involved on the blending session eventually. And there's lots of interesting stuff coming up with them. But for the people in Europe, I can announce we're gonna do a tour in Germany. So if you're based in Germany, if you're somewhere around Germany, I'm not sure how many of my viewers and subscribers are actually from Germany, but I'm going to be in Germany on 25th, 26th, and 27th of November. A bunch of different cities: Frankfurt, Dusseldorf, Berlin, Hamburg, and a bunch of other smaller cities. I'm going to touring a good few days in Germany. Also, there will be a nice event before that in Windsor in UK. So if you guys in UK, you want to see me on an event with Freud, I'm going to be in Windsor on 24th of November. So that's the little news for now. Um, and you can expect much more posts in my social media about Freud. Of course, I need to help. I need to promote the brand a little bit. So soon I'm already start working on some interesting ideas about the brand. So soon you'll see some social media popping up in there. And yeah, if you have any questions on Freud, feel free, shoot me a message. Now, let's talk about some cigars from the vault. What I have here. So before that, quick update on my cigar. I mean, I did I relight this one? No, I haven't relight this cigar. So you see how a Robusto can be smoked for very slow time. I start an hour ago. It's not even halfway. So this would last me good hour and 40 minutes to 2 hours for a Robusto. The cigar, not massively impressed to be honest. That slight bitterness is still here. Construction is alright. There's a small hole, but it doesn't affect the draw or anything. Fairly lineup burn. Strength is even less than 7 now, maybe 6. Not strong cigar at all. Looks strong, but it's not. Feels like quite a budget cigar. Not much complexity, not much happening. The first brand I want to talk about today, this is Hiram and Salomon. Hiram and Salomon was one of those brands where they start with a clear idea and they follow this idea. So Hiram and Salomon, what they call it, the Masonic brand, named after two very interesting figures in the Masonic world, Hiram Asaf and King Solomon. I'm a master mason myself, so when I first saw the brand, I was like, wow, that's an interesting. It made for people like myself, the brotherhood. I've smoked pretty much most of the cigars Hiram and Salomon came up in the last decade. They start approximately 10 years, 12 years ago. And I'll be honest with you, when they start, they were making cigars with Plasencia, and I like those cigars. They changed the portfolio to be made by PDR now in DR. So I'll show you the old and the new band. So the one with the black here is the older brand which was made by Plasencia in Nicaragua. The one with the yellow, that's the one made by PDR, and I'm not massive fan of the ones made of PDR. The Plasencia ones were way better performing in my opinion, but the ones made by PDR, not overly impressed. It's not a brand which I'm very hyped. I smoke them occasionally. The great people behind the brand. I like Remy, I like Fouad, Benoit, all the people involved with the brand. The great people. But I think something is missing there. I show you the Velvet Prophet here, which is one of the more fancy ones. This is a massive chunky cigar, 7 by 60, maybe even more than 7. It's a big cigar, came in a coffin. They do also Fuel Lanceros. I think I have one of the Lanceros here. There we go. So this is the Traveling Man Lancero. That's from one of the new blends from the PDR. But yeah, it's interesting brand maybe for some people, not massively for me. The next one I want to show you, this is Hoyo de Monterrey. Hoyo de Monterrey, it's a Cuban brand, of course. I don't think anyone in the world never heard of Hoyo de Monterrey. They start 1865 as a ex-Spanish exile. He moved to Cuba. He started working in the factories in the 1830s. Then he started producing cigars, getting involved with production. In some moment, he bought a land and a farm. In 1865, officially he launched the brand. It's one of those, one of the top tier Cuban brands where everywhere around the world people know them, they sell them. Usually, it's one of the mildest Cuban brands, if not the mildest, in my opinion. Never been a huge fan of the Hoyo. For me, it's way too mild for my liking. But it's very, very popular one. It's a very, they call it entry level Cuban cigar. Um, so yeah, for me, probably the most interesting Hoyo de Monterrey, it's the Double Corona. Double Corona came with a different band with all the big sizes. I still have a few Double Coronas left. It's a cigar which you cannot see very often on the shelves nowadays. Um, but I'll show you some interesting Hoyos here. So we have Hoyo de Monterrey Limited Edition 2013. That's the Grand Epicure. And you see the color difference. This can happen only in Cuba. You can see this is, they both real, they both 2013, and you see the color difference. It's, they're very, very far away from each other. So, I mean, Cuba is Cuba. I have two of the darker one and one of the lighter one. They should taste the same, but I'll show you something else. So this box, I keep it on purpose full. So this box is with Hoyo de Monterrey Epicure Deluxe LCDH. The box code is October 2016, and it's from a duty-free shop, some of the Arab countries. So I think it's Dubai. I'm not entirely sure. But the box, I'll show you why this box is very interesting. So everything, I literally opened the box. The box was sealed. I've opened it and I decided to keep it full, and I will explain you why. So this is the box. Let's see who can see the problem here. The problem is in the third cigar. There's no LCDH band. Again, this is not something from me. This is how I open the box, and I decide to keep it like that. The cigars, there's a few cracks on the cigars. They wasn't perfect when I opened them. I keep them like that. But yeah, one of the cigars don't have the LCDH band, and it's not like because the original band on this cigar, it's a very unique for this cigar. No, there's no other Hoyo cigar having this band. I don't know if you know, but this is Epicure Deluxe, and this is written on the band. So Epicure Deluxe is written here, so you can't have Epicure Deluxe without the LCDH. But it is what it is. Epicure asking what's my preference between AP123 or Deluxe. Honestly, Epicure number 1 is nice because I like the size. AP2, I've never liked the AP2. AP3, I've smoked a bunch of them. Some of them are good, some of them are not that much. Deluxe is usually good, especially some of the older boxes. Very, very decent. But yeah, I'm not, very rarely I'll pick any of those. Amoko Lemi. Never seen you in the chat. Any contacts in Canada? In what capacity contacts in Canada? Yeah, I know lots of people in Canada, but why do you ask me about Canada? What's the relation here? Give me some background there. And the next brand I want to mention, this is the last brand with the letter H. And letter H, this is the last brand, it's HVC. HVC stand for Havana City. Renier Lorenzo, very good friend of mine. I came up with the brand idea. He's an ex-Cuban guy. So, I mean, it's a Cuban guy who live in the US. He always wants to pay homage for his background. So he created the brand in Nicaragua. Cigars are made in Nicaragua. He owns the factory. He makes some very interesting cigars. I like most of the HVCs. They did this is the Black Friday Firecracker. Black Friday soon, so he will release probably some new Black Friday. Um, this is another Black Friday. Some of the old. This is 2023 release. He did the Grand Cajon, which is 16 gauge, and this was the Hot Cake, one of the Privada releases, and yada yada. Interesting brand. If you haven't tried him, I would say go for it. You can't go wrong. It doesn't make any. CIA handler is in Vancouver, I think. What happened here, guys? What's up with Canada? What's the involvement in Canada? I think we used to have a couple of people who usually watch from Canada, so I don't know what's the Canada relations. Please let me enlighten me. Next brand, it's one of those underdogs brands. I usually like them a lot. This is Illusion. Illusion start. This is actually one of the first proper boutique brands, what they call them. I always says Dion Giolito, which is the owner and the person behind Illusione. He used to be a retailer in Nevada. He decided to venture in the cigar making. He started making very, very good cigars. And in my opinion, he's one of the best palates to recognize blends and tobaccos and everything. I mean, I've seen the guy, someone give him a cigar and he recognized 5 of the 6 leaves inside the cigar without knowing what is it. So he started working at the beginning in Honduras to make cigars. Now, predominantly, most of the cigars made by Aganorsa. He still makes cigars in Honduras, of course. But during the years, some of his very good releases. This is the one-off release. Now they release the one-off black as well. But this is probably one of my all-time favorite Illusiones. Of course, the blue label, or what do you call them, Cigar Prime, Garagiste, that's another one back in the time, and one of the best candelas on the market. I always says there's 2 candelas. If you want to smoke a candela and you want to taste a proper candela with a nice blend, one of them is Illusione 88, the other one is Roma Craft. So recently they changed the bands. So this is the new Habano with the new band. You can see the eye here, the UFO. I mean, all the stuff Dion make, it's all related to symbols and different anomalies and stuff like that. The box here actually is from the Hot 10. I have a few left from this box. This is 2019 box. This is the Hot 10. Very simple bands usually. Nowadays they start making more fancy bands. But as I mentioned, Dion is one of the godfathers of the boutique movement in the cigars. There are 5 people. I always mention it. I always put them out there. The 5 godfathers of the boutique movement and what we call boutique, small batch or whatever cigars. I'll mention it maybe numbers of times. I'll mention them again. Drew Estate, and Jonathan Drew. Matt Booth, Room 101, Nick Melillo, Foundation, Dion Giolito, Illusione, and George Rico, Gran Habano. So those people, all those guys, and of course Pete Johnson. So Nick Melillo and Pete Johnson. Nick Melillo came a little bit later, but Pete Johnson was with the one of those people. Those are the people who start and create this movement, in my opinion. They were the first breaking stereotypes and making all those crazy different blends, combining different stuff, creating followership and followers. I mean, some of them now, like Drew Estate, is 40 million cigars a year company, but others like George Rico or Dion Jolito, they're still in the few million range, so they haven't grown up that much, and they're still classed as very boutique ones. Moko Lemi, it's new, long time follower, appreciate it. Recently moved to Canada, very hard purchasing, not only prices, availability. This type of contacts, I don't know a lot. I mean, I know few people from the industry, but as a shop owner, so private contacts, I don't think I know a lot of people in Canada in that way. I know it's very tough. The packaging is shit, and plain packaging, expensive cigars. I don't know. Maybe if you fall close to the border, my best advice is just go to the border and from the US and just buy cigars from there. I mean, you can go buy 50, 60 cigars, I think, for without any problem. Maybe go with your family, friends, cousins, whatever. Go 3 or 4 guys. If they don't smoke, it's even better for you. You just buy a bunch of cigars from the nearest shop, and yeah. So depend where you're based, of course. The last cigar I want to talk about today. Um, this is Inca. Inca. So for me, it's a very very interesting, very unique brand. It's the only Peruvian making cigars. The person behind the brand, Gennaro, very very close friend of mine. We always stay together. Usually, we few times get the apartment together in Dortmund where we own the Intertabac. So I have numbers of nights with him. It's an Italian guy who making chocolate and tobacco and cigars in Peru. Most of the time he's in Peru. The rest of the time he's in London actually. So it's Italian who doesn't go to Italy very often. Um, so Gennaro have some phenomenal tobacco. If you guys haven't tried Peruvian tobacco, I mean, I believe you haven't tried Peruvian puro, but Peruvian tobacco, I'm sure you tried some because almost everyone buy tobacco from him. Companies like Davidoff, Fuente, they use Peruvian tobacco in some of their blends. Almost everyone. His tobacco is Pelo de Oro. He grow predominantly only Pelo de Oro, which is the tobacco, the original tobacco which go to Cuba many many centuries ago, and that was the strain, the type of the tobacco which Cubans started growing decades, centuries ago. It's very mild, very tasty tobacco. It doesn't give you lots of strength, doesn't give you lots of pepper. It's just lots of cream, lots of honey, butter, that kind of stuff. The only problem Gennaro have, and I think that's why it's not very highly praised and recognizable. He don't want to use any other tobaccos at the moment. He only use his own tobacco, and in my opinion, if he put a different wrapper on his cigars, some better looking wrapper, because the Peruvian tobacco is not the most best looking one. It's in very weird veins. It's not that perfect as some of the others. But if he starts using some different tobacco as a wrapper, he can make phenomenal cigars, in my opinion. Combined with this Pelo de Oro, it will be sublime. Yes, it's again, it's a very very budget cigars. They're not expensive. Anything you find from Inca, this is the golden medal, the gold medal extra fuerte, which is supposed to be their strongest cigar, and it's not even 5 out of 10 strength. Everything they do is very creamy and very mild. If you, I'm not sure if they in Canada, they're not in many international markets. He's trying, but it's a very small company. But if you ever seen in a blend mentioning Peruvian tobacco, this is him. This is his tobacco. This is the only grower in Peru. I think there will be few more coming up soon in the next year or so. There's a bunch of people who wants to grow in there, and I think they start building farms and stuff. But at the moment, in the last decade, there's been only Gennaro. and his production Tabacalera Oriente, based in Tarapoto in the jungle. So great guy. If you can find any of his cigars, highly recommended to try them. Um, yeah, band improvement, of course. I mean, it's Italian. He don't want to spend money. You know, they're that kind of people. They don't want to spend money for stuff like that. Right. It's slightly longer than the usual hour, but I guess there was a lot of ranting topics in the beginning, and appreciate you all jumping in and comment and talking and anything. Any way to get in touch direct from them or company? I have friends shipping cigars from Honduras to me with no issues. Um, if you want to get in touch with them, I don't know how he can ship from. I mean, he shipped from Peru. If you think he can ship from Peru to whatever country, I don't think will be a problem. I'm not sure if you have a distributor in Canada. If you want, send me a message later on Instagram or somewhere, and I will discuss with you. So I don't want to throw in here in the chat. If you think you have a way to ship them from Peru directly, let me know. If no, you need to buy them from some of these distributors around the world. I need to check. I need to ask him where he have distributors. I'm not sure what's the situation with Canada, but yeah, if you're interested, let me know and I'll make the connection so you can have a chat with him and you can discuss any further ideas. No problem. So yeah, guys, it's been a great evening. I talk a lot. My cigar is so right for talking. I'd call them a talking cigars. You know, you can literally talk non-stop with friends and stuff. He doesn't care much about the cigar. It's something you puff in. You don't need to relight 11 times like some other occasions. Cigars burn well. It doesn't finish in about 20 seconds. You know, sometimes when you're talking, you puff in too much, not on purpose, but you just keep puffing, and the cigar is just finishing in zero time. And this is perfect for that kind of occasions. Um, yeah, I'll be with you hopefully next week. Monday will be 10th of November. Um, I have not much plans for next week, so I'll be free for live to do the live at 8 p.m. We're gonna talk about, of course, different news sections. Bunch. I'm looking what kind of cigars I can show you next week. There's a very small and interesting brands in my catalog. In the meantime, listen, read, and uh, like, comment whatever I post in the Late Smoke website and in the Instagram. I mean, I just finished earlier an article about the blind tasting. I think it was a great, very interesting one. I want to do this for since I started the blog. Because I wasn't entirely sure in some of the processes I mentioned from other companies. I just asked some friends to give me a clue. And that's why I delayed it a little bit, but it's been published a couple hours ago. You can read it. I'm gonna carry on with the reviews. They, as usual, I try to post at least one a day, maybe two a day when I have the time. I do a records. Literally, my phone. I have a folder when I'm doing my reviews. Sometimes I just walk and smoke. I like this is one of my favorite way to do the review. Put my headphones, some chill music, and just walking. I have a small flask in my pocket with the tea or even just the water, and just walk around my village with my phone, chatting, talking about some, doing some emails and everything. And in the meantime, I just put notes about the cigar I'm smoking. And when I go back home, I just fill everything in the website. So yeah, I mean, I will release soon about Dominican Republic, Honduras, Those are the main producing countries. So I want to put in all those countries. What's the situation when if you want to buy? If there's interest on any other country, I can try to find information if I don't know. But Nicaragua, you want to buy cigars in Nicaragua, you need to know you cannot buy officially. You need to know the people you're going to visit. They can give you some cigars. Some people are more generous than the others. I mean, I visit quite a lot of farms and factories. There's a people which literally throw you as many cigars as you want. There's others which will give you 5 cigars during a day or 2 days, and they won't give you any other cigars to smoke. So even if you want to get some extras, they won't give you. But I guess depend who you know and depend who you're meeting. You want to buy cigars, maybe your safe bet is if you fly through Managua. On the airport of Managua, there are 3 shops which sell cigars. There's a Padron dedicated shop. There's another one of Joya de Nicaragua, and there's another one which sell all kind of different stuff. Like there's a Perdomo there. There's real estate. I think can't remember what other brands. There were a few of brands. There were 4 different brands. Prices are good. The working time is usually that's one of the issues. So if you fly very early in the morning or very late in the evening, most likely they will be shut, especially the Padron shop. But if you fly during the day, the Padron shop will be open and you can buy a bunch of Padrons on a good prices. But yeah, that's the situation. It's unfortunately there's not many shops you can buy stuff. But yeah, glad I help at least someone. And on this note, I believe it's time to uh, say goodbye for today, guys. It's been a pleasure. I wish you a wonderful week. Smoke your cigars. Tomorrow's never given, especially with all the crazy hits again in the politics. You never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Hey, Jacob, you've been here. You didn't mention anything before. I hope you like the rant. It's been a massive 40-minute rant. But yeah, wish you all the best, guys, and I will see you all hopefully next week, same time, 8 p.m., same channel, the Late Smoke with me. Okay, you're gonna like it. And yeah, bye bye, and I'll see you all next week.